What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out some updates from Donald Trump on his legal case, his campaign, all those discussions. Let's get to it.
OPM, other people's money. But now, for the first time since he won the Republican nomination 7 years ago, the New York Times reports Trump has spoken seriously about the possibility of putting his own money into this race. Why? Well, much of that OPM, as he calls it, is being used to pay for his criminal defense. Today, as we said, his lawyers were in court opposite federal prosecutors to go over discovery rules and limits, if any, on what Trump can say about the case. From the Times, quote, new financial reports show that the former president's various political committees and the super PAC backing him have used roughly 30 cents of every dollar spent so far this year on legal-related costs.
Wow,
the total
that's
amounts to more than $27 million in legal fees and other investigation-related bills in the first 6 months of 2023. That's according to a New York Times analysis of federal records. That amount includes payments to 8 law firms, getting more than $1 million each just in the first half of this year.
Someone could argue that this could be a situation or a setup to wear him off financially so he doesn't run for the presidential election.
Amount could balloon as Trump's cases head to actual courtrooms. The Times notes Trump's complex political orbit is already spending more than it is taking in and tapping into money it raised years ago, an unusual trajectory this far out from an election. Predictably, Trump is upset, suggesting on social media, quote, resources that would have into ads and rallies will now have to be spent fighting these radical left thugs, which is a rich thing to say, given Trump's the reason he's in this position in the first place. Ooh. Well. It is not the consequences of one's own actions. But that backwards response is permeating the Republican Party. Listen to the accusation Congressman Byron Donald made.
But to a broader perspective, what the Department of Justice is really doing is they want to bleed Donald Trump dry. They want him to use up so many campaign resources with these terrible, phony indictments that it's going to be hard for him to mount a challenge of the presidency. And for the American people, understand what this means. This means that the Democrat Party and Joe Biden are using the power of government to basically turn the screws on their political opponent.
Irony, it hits you like a shovel to the face, falsely accusing President Biden of trying to subvert democracy by holding Donald.
Yeah, Republicans are not going to like this video. Feel free to click away or share what you think about what she's saying.
Trump accountable for literally trying to subvert democracy. The modern Republican Party, where everything's made up and the points don't matter. And that is where we start this hour. Joining our conversation from the New York Times, congressional reporter Luke Broadwater, plus voting rights attorney and founder of the site Democracy Docket, Mark Elias, and writer-at-large for The Bulwark and an MSNBC political analyst, Tim Miller. Luke, we have your New York Times colleagues to thank for this reporting. First, get us more acquainted with just how cash-strapped Trump's orbit is right now.
Well, he is raising a lot of money, so these indictments have been a boon to him from a fundraising perspective. But his problem is 33% of it's going immediately out the door to pay for lawyers, and his legal cases are just piling up. I mean, we're going to have probably another one next week in Georgia, and so he's going to have 4 very serious criminal cases against him. He's going to have a lot of very high-priced attorneys, and he's going to be spending not his own money, right, but the donations from a lot of small dollar donors across the country who are sending him money that is going right into the pockets of these, well-heeled lawyers as they work to try to keep Donald Trump out of jail. And he is spending more money than he's taking in right now, which is not a good place for any campaign to be in this situation. But every time there is a new charge or a new court case against him, he can go right back to that outrage machine and bring in those dollars from those Americans all across the country.
But he can still be president from jail, right? So even if he loses the case, he can still be president and rule from jail or pardon himself.
Right, and I know you say it for illustrative points. The money does not go from those small dollar donors directly into the hands of all these attorneys. Talk us through this sort of complicated mesh of political entities that is intaking that cash and then spending it. Where is all this money coming from?
Right, well, there are a number of, he has the Save America PAC. He has a number of PACs that he uses to pay these lawyers, right? It's not It's not that Donald Trump himself is paying the lawyers at all. So he's relying on donations. They come in generally to these PACs, and they go out to his attorneys.
Mark Elias, a little bit more about one of those bodies that Luke just referenced, the Save America PAC. I want you to take a listen to what the January 6th committee taught us about that PAC.
The claims that the election was stolen were so successful. President Trump and his allies raised $250 million, nearly $100 million in the first week after the election. On November 9th, 2020, President Trump created a separate entity called the Save America PAC. Most of the money raised went to this newly created PAC, not to election-related litigation. The Select Committee discovered that the Save America PAC made millions of dollars of contributions to pro-Trump organizations, including $1 million to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' charitable foundation, $1 million to the America First Policy Institute, a conservative organization which employs several former Trump administration officials, $204,857 to the Trump Hotel Collection, and over $5 million to Event Strategies, Inc., the company that ran President Trump's January 6th rally on the Ellipse.
Mark Elias, we understand Special Counsel Jack Smith's...
So wait, they're saying the election was stolen, what was it, slogan? Because I'm hearing in music, there's literally a song, somebody said F Biden, and almost all the verses or all the bars in the song was saying the election was stolen. So would that be a lie? So Trump made that up to get $250 million? Is that what they are saying? And also, is that even legal? If you make up something like that to steal money from people, you could go to jail for it, right? I mean, I think so. So yeah, let me know, Republicans or Democrats, anybody, feel free to talk to me about this one.
Scrutinizing the Save America PAC, trying to figure out if Trump's advisors knew he'd lost before they were raising funds off lies about non-existent voter fraud. So you have PAC paying for a legal defense while also being part of the case itself. I wonder if you have ever heard of that happening at this scale.
No, nothing like this has ever happened before. I mean, let's just be clear. We've never had a president of the United States who's tried to overturn democratic elections. We've never had a president of the United States indicted once, no less 3 times, and as you point out, probably on his way to 4 times. And we've never had a president as shameless and as backed up by a shameless party as Donald Trump and the Republican Party, as they milk and bilk these donors into this PAC. Remember, Alicia, the beginning of this PAC, as that segment pointed out, was to actually raise money to contest the outcome of the election. Well, the money didn't go to that. The next purpose of the PAC would be to support Republican candidates. And it appears the money didn't really much go to that. It's really going to enrich Donald Trump and his allies. And that is really an absolute another indictment of where Donald Trump and the Republicans stand today.
Mark,
do you think these people really believe this, or they are being paid to say it? I'm just asking, like, it's a genuine question, because sometimes I don't understand media and politics. You know, it feels like people make up things because they are paid to say it. But in this case, do you think these people genuinely believe this?
does Jack Smith have the power to freeze those funds?
So it's a good question. I mean, there's no question that Jack Smith, from what we've read in the newspaper, is investigating whether or not there was fraud in the collection of those funds. And if he finds that there was criminal fraud, then he could bring a forfeiture action to try to forfeit and freeze and forfeit those funds. Whether he is going to do that or not, I don't know. Right now, he's got his hands full with two criminal cases. Whether he expands that or brings another one or expands the DC one to include allegations of mail fraud and wire fraud around the PAC fundraising, we'll have to wait and see.
Tim Miller, I want to read you a little bit more from the Times piece. Quote, Trump-aligned groups also paid legal bills for some White House aides who testified in the congressional inquiry into the January 6th attack, an arrangement that critics said was an attempt to influence their testimony. Mr. Trump's advisors have denied the allegation. Mr. Trump has said the groups are simply trying to help friends and allies who've been caught up in politically motivated investigations. I mean, Tim, Cassidy Hutchinson comes to mind for me, I'm sure for you. She had a Trump world lawyer representing her during the 1-6 committee's investigation before firing that lawyer and suggesting on the record he had tried to influence her testimony. That lawyer, he has denied that allegation. But I wonder, as you trace this money, if that is a concern for you in this case.
I mean, of course, they're using this as a slush fund to try to influence folks. I think it was also true of Sarah Matthews, in addition to Cassidy Hutchinson, who testified before the January 6th committee. And, to Mark's point, none of this money appears to be going to the stated purpose of this PAC. And this is now very cautiously being pointed out, by some of Trump's opponents. I saw last night on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now, that the DeSantis super PAC was attacking Trump's campaign manager, their chief strategist, over the amount of money that's going to lawyers. But this comes like way too late. I mean, after they've brought in 9 figures to go to Trump's various legal bills, and to be used, no doubt, to influence people in his orbit and try to prevent them from speaking out about these various indictments.
I wonder for you, Mark Elias, given the context, the history of what we know here, when you see that Trump-aligned groups continue to pay legal bills for, quote, friends and allies, what that signals to you?
Look, I think it's really troubling, and I think it's something that Jack Smith's working on getting to the bottom of. Because it's not like, you sometimes have a situation in which there's a corporation, its executives or its employees wind up before grand juries and they pay the legal bills. But they do it on a pretty agnostic basis. This appears to be the legal fees are being paid sort of on a selective basis. And so the question is, are the legal bills being selected to be paid based on whether they are offering favorable or unfavorable testimony to the former president? And I think that is something, along with some of the conflicts around the lawyers, and the lawyers having lawyers and the lawyers having clients who are adverse to other lawyers and other clients. I think that all of this is something Jack Smith is going to have to figure out.
Yeah, that was a good video. The Republicans are going to make a different arguments, because I think I've already seen a lot of arguments the Republicans make, especially the one where you said, or where they said something about the election, or using manipulation of the election to raise campaign money. Some people have said their evidence is that the election was rigged. Some people have stated different ways it was rigged. I'm not going to go through that now, but I'm sure a lot of you know. But let me know what you think about that. I'm not in America, so I can't really tell if that is true or false. I mean, the election, if it was rigged or not. But yeah, feel free to let me know what you think. And also, assuming that Trump was able to manipulate Americans to get $250 million, that would be assuming that a lot of people are very dumb, because manipulating me as a Nigerian man to get $1, you have to tell me everything in this world, So yeah, I don't know how to feel about that video, whether to accept that information or just, have it as a new perspective. But I'm definitely going to have follow-up videos to, compare and contrast. But, tell me share your thoughts as well. I've shared mine. It's the end of this one. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a very wonderful day. Peace. I made this